Hey, it's Ed here. On today's video we're taking a look at technical analysis for Bitcoin, and on today's video again we're going to be focusing on the smaller time frames, as this has not yet been concluded yet. So the overall idea has stayed exactly the same what we've been expecting, where we had this as an ABC coming down into the first structure that was W. Then we had another three-way structure up, which we determined to be in wave X, and then we are looking for wave Y later on. Now that we have confirmed that we have that pivot of wave X in place, we can start to take a look at the higher time frame and higher degree targets here for that wave Y overall. So this is what I would have overall. These are the white one is the retracement of the previous move. We don't need to be considering that at this moment. But yeah, WXY targets around 23k. One of the important areas is this one as well, around 24k to 23.5, which is a golden pocket of the previous higher time frame move to the upside if we consider that to be an ABC. But again, I think there is going to be more structure here before anything else is going to be happening, so we don't need to be determining these too carefully at this point. Overall, we have yet to hit the 0.618, so I don't think this has any kind of chance of being finished completely. But we were talking about previously how this came quite aggressively down, where this was a 1, 2, 1, 2, potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5 here, and completing this first structure of whatever it was. Now, since the first structure overall was an ABC, the expectation here is that we're going to be getting another three-way structure in wave Y, something like this. I've seen counts where this was some kind of 1, 2, 1, 2, and some people like that a bit more. I don't, because again the structure here is larger than here, which would mean that smaller degree wave structure would take longer in time than the higher degree. Hopefully that is understandable, that it's not the most common to see that, which is why my expectation is not that. So overall, what I'm looking for here is an A, B, and then C. I think there is a quite good chance of having this complete soon, potentially even today, and having one more leg down is something that I would be expecting. That way we could be creating a divergence here in a bit higher time frame, and then look for a pivot upwards and start going back up to some degree. Again, I think this is actually a wrong degree, and this should be sub-micro, while these would be minuscule. And the reason why this is just because if we were to compare this as a micro count, it would be comparable to this whole thing. And to me, this structure here is more comparable to this first structure, again, which would be making it into a, oops, why am I clicking here? Well, I'm comparing it again in three waves. So I don't think this has a good chance of becoming a 5-wave structure, at least yet. We do have this extension here, but again, we're nowhere close to the 1.618, which is again the reason that I'm more comfortable saying that we have a ABC here, which would indeed mean that again, it could be the end of wave Y if we hit the 0.618. Not my main scenario, however. The main scenario would be that this wave Y is only having a start with this three-way structure, meaning that we have this as the wave A, wave B, and then wave C, or a WXY, which is again really common here on Bitcoin recently. So we could be looking at that as one. The reason why I do like the idea of this becoming a WXY instead better than an ABC is just because again the retracement for it to become an ABC would require it to go beyond the 90% or at least the 85.4 retracement of this move. This would mean that it would break this higher degree or higher time frame pivots of this channel, which is something that I don't really like. At this moment, this has been following quite nicely this somewhat of a decent looking channel downwards, and again there is definitely resistance here. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure that this is again a channel that a lot of people are watching. Even if we had a small break here, I would think or consider this more as a fake out overall, unless it produces a lot of volume in here at the breakout, which would allow it to create some kind of backtest before pumping. But to me, the best idea or most likely scenario is that this is indeed a wave X before that wave Y later on. Depending of course how high this wave X would land, we would be looking for targets later on. One of the targets at this point, depending of course how deep this goes, if we pivot from the 1.236, the golden pocket is right around 27.2, which is again this area here where probably some amount of liquidity is. This is quite high already, unless we do a very sharp ABC structure in here for that to happen, and then we would have another 3-wave coming down. So that is the main idea at this point on Bitcoin. Check out ETH here if there is anything else happening. ETH, again, we talked about how this could be an ABC here. Kind of wonky looking. This is very small in comparison. It could be a 1-2-1-2, where this wave 2 here would be way longer in time. Again, a similar issue that we have on Bitcoin, if we want to consider that as a 1-2-1-2 scenario. This can be labeled into a diagonal here, which I think I like based on the structure coming down. Of course, there is a chance that this is just a 3-way structure like so, where this is an A, B, and then C, and this is pretty much over. Could be getting that one more low here without divergence, same as Bitcoin, and then we would be getting some kind of move up. At this point, again, the extensions are not that large. We are still missing extensions towards the 1.618, so again, it's not really too impulsive to the downside. However, again, if we take out this low here and the liquidity that lies basically below this marked X, there is definitely a chance that we are going to be getting a wave 4 here and wave 5. That way we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then again, if we get a 3-way structure up, we could be looking for a massive down pump, or basically down pump, aka dump. So it could be a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, but that is, well, is very unlikely in my opinion. Maybe a diagonal here is something that we could consider as a possibility. We'll see, but again, that is based on this structure, how that comes up. And I feel like the diagonal might be a bit more sensible than the idea of having this as a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, because the more 1-2s you are going to be generating in your mind, the less probable the count is going to be overall. But sometimes these things do happen as a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2s, and that are actually visible here on higher time frames. It's just about how you're going to be managing and catching that. But that is ETH. Not much else to say in here, in my opinion, at this point. We'll take a look at later once these structures are playing out. I'm still holding on to my shorts on Bitcoin and ETH and ADA as well. And yeah, that's all for now. Again, if you want to educate yourself, check out the following advertisements. If not, thanks for watching and see you on the next video. Bye bye. Couple of advertisements here: Patreon Elliott Wave Basics course, weekly live streams and more Elliott Wave analysis. Udemy Elliott Wave Advanced course, including RSI, risk management, Elliott Wave strategies and time analysis, and candle trend capital, trade setups, education and community. Check us out if you're interested in learning more.